In this video, we're going to take a sneak preview of incoming features in Microsoft Intune, and I guarantee you're not going to want to miss this. Greetings fellow YouTubers, how are you all? I hope that you're all keeping well, and I gotta reach out and say a huge thank you to each and every one of you for helping me reach over 100,000 subscribers. It is absolutely awesome, and I really do appreciate it. So I've got something special for you today. So, Director of Microsoft 365 and the host of Microsoft Mechanics, Jeremy Chapman, is joining me on today's episode, and we're going to talk about what's new and cool and incoming in Microsoft Intune and Intune Suite. I gotta tell you, there is more new features coming than you can shake a stick at, and I guarantee you will learn something in this session. So make sure that you stay tuned to the end, because there's loads of good stuff coming here. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, then please go ahead, bump that subscribe button, ring that bell, and come and join my learning community. And if you want to learn more, then please visit my Patreon site just here, and you can get exclusive content, full courses, and of course a monthly Zoom call. Want to know more? Again, just take a look there below. Now, comments, questions, again, anything about this or any of my other sessions, of course, again, just get those down below. And as always, I'll do my best for you. So, as I've mentioned, I've got something very special today. I want to introduce my very special guest, Jeremy Chapman, host of Microsoft Mechanics and the director of Microsoft 365, who's going to give us an exclusive first look at some awesome new features that are inbound in Microsoft Intune. So, hi Jeremy, how are you? Great to see you, and a very warm welcome back.
Great to be back, Andy. And today I want to talk about something near and dear to me, which is basically endpoint device management, kind of where I started. And I've got a lot of updates to share, I think, that have happened in the Intune side of things from about November onward.
Yeah, I was going to say that actually. Last time we spoke, we did that whole Intune suite, and that was really super popular actually. So, and there's been so much going on, it seems, with Intune and Copilot and everything. So I think everybody out there will really appreciate your update. So what have you got for me today?
Yeah, totally. So I'm gonna go back to kind of more or less the November period of time, and there were actually, with Tech Takeoff and at Ignite, we announced more Intune Suite stuff, and I've actually got a couple things there that stick out for me in terms of things that are coming that I wanted to share. But why don't we start with Ignite, because we're kind of in the year of large language models and Copilot and being able to get generative AI benefits everywhere. And Copilot also works with Microsoft Intune. There's ways to do it now with Security Copilot. So one of the cool things, and I'll just switch over to my demo here just to show you. The cool things that you can do is actually get to multiple different sources. And so if you look at the different plugins that we have, not only is it getting things that you'd expect from Defender, but you can see Entra, Intune, Purview is also in the mix of everything here. So basically it means that for retrieval augmented generation, we have the ability to get to Intune data. So for example, if I wanted to ask for a list of most 10 recently enrolled devices in Intune, I can do that. It takes a moment to do that actually in real time, so I'll just switch over to tabs. You can see it took about a minute and a half or so to query everything, but it actually knows when you do that to go into Intune as the provider, process the request, prepare the response, and there's our list of the 10 most recently enrolled devices. And it lets you actually view that as a spreadsheet. So this is all the Intune integration, basically as a data source for Security Copilot. But it does get even better than this. So now if I go into kind of how it works, just to explain what's happening behind the scenes, we've basically controlled the way that we can work with the large language model for Security Copilot. So if you think about Security Copilot, behind the scenes, it's running a GPT-based large language model from OpenAI. And it's been effectively tuned for security operations. And the nice thing is it's plugged in, as you saw, with different providers. So you've got not only the Defender plugins, you've also got Sentinel data coming to it, plus all the Entra, Intune, et cetera. in the back end. And then so you've got this nice holistic view of the devices, the users, identities, all the things that you care about. And you can basically chat with Security Copilot to get all this detailed information in real time, returning from all those different data providers. Now, the nice thing is, as we presented at Ignite, we actually have the ability to show these embedded experiences running to the right-hand side of all your incidents, for example, like you're seeing here inside of Microsoft Defender. You can do things like script analysis, which I love, be able to reverse engineer scripts. And we can even write Kusto query language, KQL, directly from there. And KQL will come up later in our conversation. But even with Intune, you can see I've got the ability to look in, and I'm summarizing here a policy, and I can see if there are any policy conflicts, for example. I can go into different device attributes and query devices using natural language to see kind of their different hardware states. So all of these things are things that you can do as part of the Security Copilot integration embedded into those experiences like Intune. And then we also have experiences for Microsoft Entra. So for Entra, for example, I can go into different Security Copilot, operations to actually see like what's going on with a particular user. If I want to maybe look at, for example, here, Vasu's login attempts and various things. If I want to set up lifecycle workflows, which I love as part of the account provisioning, for example, where you can do all those things. You can do that with natural language. And then Microsoft Purview is something else that we can go in and look at, for example, some of the alert summaries for policy matches that we find within Microsoft Purview. And, if we want to go into, say, insider risk management, those types of scenarios light up there as well. So basically, you get one Security Copilot, but it lets you not only experience the data within the Copilot kind of chat experience itself, but even experience the experiences in the tools that you use every day, especially as a device admin using things like Entra and Intune and Purview for maybe endpoint DLP. All of those things you can get that same LLM type functionality.
This is almost like a Copilot for grown-ups, you might say.
It is, and it's my favorite Copilot in the sense that it explains everything it's doing. So you saw even as I queried Intune, it tells you exactly where it's getting the data, what operations what was performing. You can turn on verbose logging to see like what queries it was sending around. So it gives you all of that kind of under the hood, mechanical aspects of what it's actually producing, and it lets you save state. So if, say, you wanted to send an investigation to another person who might be a SOC analyst or somebody else on the device team, you can actually resume where that other person left off. Okay, and so it's cool. Actually stateful in that sense and shareable, so you can actually work together like with other individuals on different investigations or different things that you're using those different tools for.
Oh, very cool. Excellent. That's a great start. So what else have you got for me then?
Right. So I'll do a kind of an easier one that in terms of demo. So the Intune experience, we've just refreshed the Intune pages. It's a nice clean kind of design now.
But I love it.
You'll see that the homepage has got quite a bit of update there. Doesn't look too bad. But when we think about kind of the major updates that we're seeing or that we've seen, I'll just go through some of the first ones. So basically, we last March or so we announced the Intune Suite. You'll remember that's endpoint privilege management, tunnel for MAM, endpoint analytics, the advanced analytics, and so we've extended a lot of that. So the nice thing is, between managing elevations, getting more analytics and insights, better support. We saw also Tunnel for MAM as a micro VPN solution. We're getting better on the insight side, and I want to show something that's really cool there. For kind of direct querying support, we'll get even better. We've seen something that technical take off there as well. We announced at Ignite Cloud PKI, which will let you do PKI management in the cloud in addition to the analytics and querying, and then application management, enterprise application management. So you'll have a better method to manage the life cycle of applications as you bring them in to your catalog, and also as you update them. I'll show a few examples of what you can do there. First thing I wanted to show, I guess, is you might have seen basically the way that Intune reports in general is it results on a polling cycle. So anything that we do, typically there's going to be a device that's basically sending telemetry, for lack of a better term, back to Intune in terms of the apps that are installed, disk space, like device compliance, all those normal things. But imagine being able to do real-time querying against that device. So anybody who's used Configuration Manager, and that's kind of where I grew up, my old neck of the woods, you can do something called CM Pivot. So CM Pivot's kind of similar, where I can basically get directly to that machine, almost console-like query what's going on in that machine in real time. So this is something that we're bringing over to Intune. That hasn't been named yet officially. It was something that we showed at the Tech Takeoff, and I'm going to show it here again. Imagine you want to troubleshoot a device, whether it's attended or unattended. So you can go into your device as long as it's connected right now, and you can go into your three dots here, and then go into your Intune device query, and basically using KQL or Kusto query language commands. Here, for example, we're going to go ahead and do a query against the different running services on the device, the top 10. And when we do that, it's actually doing a real-time direct call against that running device. And it shares the different 10 services that are running, which is nice if I want to see maybe there's a malicious service that I want to stop, or a service that should be running that isn't running. Those types of things I want to do for troubleshooting. And I can do other things like, say, for example, and this is actually a ironic one, because we're running into this where my system's getting a little bit taxed. If I want to see the number of processes that are running total by size, which is probably my problem at the moment in terms of some of my video issues I was having a moment ago. Now I can see like what the most hungry and power hungry processes are in this case on the machine in real time. So we have the ability to pivot and query against those different running operations. Or if I want to say check device state for a certain attribute, say if I want to look at the disk info for the disk size, I can go ahead and do that. And that will just return a single value so I can get the disk size. But that way I can query various aspects of that machine in real time. And I don't have to wait for it to pull back. I can do that as I'm troubleshooting it either in an attended or unattended fashion.
Very cool. Very nice. Yes. I can see a lot of people using that.
Right. So that's one of the cooler things I think a lot of people are using, of course, on the config manager side. But something else I think a lot of people are doing, and we've just done a bunch of content with Intra as well around something called private access, which I think more and more we're seeing like all of the kind of on-prem world of, Kerberos and NTLM and like all of our old favorites in even certificate management getting to
never go away.
Yeah. Getting to be difficult and more cumbersome. So what we're trying to do is actually streamline that process as well. And this is, again, stuff that was announced at Ignite and shown again at Tech Takeoff. But Cloud PKI is something else that's super exciting, I think, in terms of some of the updates that we're doing there, allowing you to create root, issuance, SCEP policies, all that, as a certificate authority from the cloud from Intune. So let me show you what that looks like just as a early preview. It's so early. This is from the Tech Takeoff. Even the naming strings aren't in there. We did say that the naming is going to be Cloud PKI, not Managed PKI, in case you're wondering. But basically, you can see here in my list of certification authority names, I've got both root and issuing cert authorities there. And if I go and create a new one, for example, here, I'll just create a normal one. This is again from Tech Takeoff, hence the TTO. But I'll create a root cert, and basically it's kind of as you would expect from like an ADCS type environment where you need the type, the validity period. You need to give it a common name, and so you just configure the commands as you normally would. But this is fully managed in the cloud, so you don't need to have the same degree of on-prem resources available. I say the same degree because we still work with things like ADCS. Mm-hmm. If you want to set up that relationship between your certificates that you're building, say on-prem for SSL or TLS. And so here, for example, I can set up the encryption value that I want. We go all the way up to 4096 at SHA-512. So Pretty good in terms of encryption support. And then you're basically set up with a root cert, a validity period, your key size encryption algorithm all set up and ready to go. And now once you've got your root CA, the next thing that you'll probably need to do is set up an issuing CA. So again, I've got all of these, I've got a few examples of them set up here. This is actually from, if I'm getting that right. But basically, once we've done that, we refresh our list. The cert's there, and there's our issuing certification authority. And now I have my certificate revocation list distribution point defined. The SCEP policy is there for enrollment. All that's managed in the cloud. And you can go in and look at that, for example, and you'll see all the different scoping attributes and everything that you set as you would normally through the SCEP policies, all done from the cloud. And this can work, again, with the ADCS infrastructure, Active Directory that you have on premises for the on-prem certs, but then you're basically getting rid of MDES servers and other infrastructure, so you can do a lot of that work in the cloud without having to manage the metal that's running on-prem to do all of this work for you.
Yeah, I think this is a game changer, actually. This has been a long time coming, and it's great. I mean, and to put it into Intune as well is it's a natural place for it, I think.
Yeah, I think it's another one of those things I would say in terms of, again, modernizing identity, getting less and less kind of infrastructure components that have to run and then stay up and running and have high SLAs. This is an important service on premises to where you can move those to the cloud and kind of let Microsoft worry about keeping the services running and the SLAs high. So it's one of those things I think that will help in terms of a lot of IT management scenarios for access management and authentication for certificate services.
Yeah. Okay, so that's really cool. The other exciting thing, I think, is the way that app deployment is really kind of catching up in a big way, and specifically the likes of Win32-bit based apps, which have always been a real pain. And you're making things a lot easier, I see.
Yeah, not me, the Intune team, but yes, definitely. So apps are probably one of my areas where I started out doing a lot of the device management. Actually, fun fact, I went to the Office team after I did Windows deployment for so many years, where we built out Click to Run as the package type. I was working directly with the engineering team, Paul Barr and others. But MSI, as you may or may not know, was actually a package format that was also built by the Office team way back in the, I want to say, late 90s, early 2000s, as a way to do something that's basically a very, very, with MSI, more bootstrapping capability than you would normally have through a setup.exe, for example, and normal executable files. So applications have been something that's kind of been in my blood for a long time in terms of packaging. Intune was always kind of tricky in terms of wanting to create its own packages previously for Windows and for Mac. Now it's getting a lot easier in terms of the whole application lifecycle and just using the native packages that you can find. But you don't have to go out and manually find those anymore. So all of that kind of manual going out to the application publisher, pulling the metadata, pulling the versions, the titles, the silent install commands, the uninstall commands, the looking to see query that the application exists on the machine, all of that kind of stuff we can take care of for you effectively through what we announced at Ignite and Tech Takeoff. So let me show you what that looks like. So it's actually pretty powerful, and it's, I think, going to save everyone watching a ton of time. So here we're just in the Intune Admin Center, and if I go into my Windows apps list, you can see all the different apps I have. Now, when I go to add an app, it's just kind of like the normal process, but in this case, we're going to use the Windows Catalog app Win32 capability, which is going to be something lighting up as part of this. So once I do that, it kind of looks like the settings catalog kind of motions in terms of getting to your settings, but this is getting to the apps that you have through the app catalog. So that will go ahead and give me a list of all the apps that are in the catalog. And if I search for Microsoft, I can see here Power Toys, I should say. And I'll go ahead and select that one. And when I do that, it will give me or list out all the packages. There might be different packages by language, for example, that I might need to select different packages that I want. Once I pull the application in, it's actually looking for all the metadata for me. So I've got the name, the description, stuff that I'd normally have to manually fill out. Publisher name, the app version number. I can select the category if I wanted to select the category and give it additional information if I want, but pretty good set of information already that's pulled directly from the catalog from the publisher itself. And then when I go a little bit deeper in, these are the commands that I love to see. The install command for silent install, you can see it's got the passive, quiet, and no restart switch already there. The uninstall command is already there. So everything's already set up for me. I didn't have to go and I didn't switch tabs and paste these things in advance. This is all stuff that was just pulled through the app's metadata from the catalog effectively. Estimate in terms of the installation time that was required. So all these different things that you would need normally to deploy this at scale, the return codes, if you're using application task sequences or app sequences, all of these things are here automatically. So again, saving a lot of time that I've probably lost years off my life trying to find this information in past lives as well. It's all there, right there, ready for me. I can set up my normal, as I normally would, OS requirements, but these are all things, again, that were queried from the application package directly. So the Windows 10 version, 64-bit, for example. Detection rules, which I love too. So to see if the app's already on the machine, it's already pulling the detection rules and the detection logic for me if I want to see if that app's already previously installed. So that's all there, again, from the metadata of the app. All this information I would have had to either manually enter or query or look for on the web. Maybe I'm using generative AI. I might be able to do that these days to get more install commands for the apps. But still, it's work. And now that work goes away here with the apps. But it gets even better because then there's the question of how do I go about updating my apps after I've got the application packages into my environment? Then, yes, that's great. I've got everything there, but those apps aren't going to be static always. There's going to be different app updates from different publishers. Some publishers will update more than others. So it gets better there too across the application lifecycle for updating your apps. So now if we go back, you can see that we'll have the ability to do app updates as part of the lifecycle, of course, because it's a common update task that you'll do. So if we go to the updates for Windows Win32 app catalog apps, you can see I've got the installed version and the new version that's presented to me, whether or not it's superseded, if there's updates available, who the publishers are. So all that information that's being queried directly kind of continuously from the catalog based on the applications that I have in my environment and deployed, so I can see how we need to update those across the different user devices. And so I have everything that I need, in terms of the old and new version to be able to make that call. And so when I want to update the app, I can just go through this kind of wizard process through update app. And you'll see again, it's pulled all the new application information for me directly. In this case, it's our Notepad++. It's not PowerToys this time, but you can see that we've got the different application details there. And so everything is ready for me. And if I progress through this kind of wizard process, I can see, again, our uninstall and our install commands automatically there, in this case for Notepad++, which you'll see are quite a bit different than the PowerToys switches that we just saw. But one of the cool things, again, detection rules. These are pretty basic detection rules because it's going to the program files folder and finding it and looking for a different file existence in our case. But if we go into supersedence, this is where you have the ability to actually automatically uninstall the previous version of the application with just that one radio button. So at that point, I can basically decide, do I want to supersede this new package and supersede the old package, I should say, with this new package, and just set that up. And it's just like any other normal app deployment. Once you've set up, or once you've initiated the application supersedence or the deployment, it'll go out and do the corrective actions that you ask it to do, and it will create the app and run a normal software distribution.
I had flashbacks of deploying apps in group policy there for a second. The different versions. It's very like that, isn't it? And it's as easy as that, actually.
The group policy stuff was actually pretty cool. I remember when that was originally brought out, but it did miss a lot of other capabilities. But I did love the kind of the simplicity of it back then in the day, and I think this kind of has that similar-ish simplicity. But I think here again, because you're getting first and third party apps and all the different metadata and all the different things that you want, this should hopefully radically save you a lot of time as someone who manages a lot of app packages and updates.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So those are just a few of my favorite things in terms of the updates with Intune. I think the Copilot thing's gonna be pretty sweet in terms of getting generative AI, not only in the context of security investigations, but even embedded. And then all the stuff that we're doing with with the Intune suite updates that we announced at Ignite. So there's a lot to come on the Intune front. The team is always churning out a ton of great capabilities. Like I said, the Mac OS stuff, you have to check that out if you haven't seen it recently. But it's just a great space with a lot of innovation happening right now.
It's actually quite interesting because I'm trying to bet actually who's got the most updates coming out. Is it the Teams team or is it the Intune team? You guys just seem to be doing so many updates at the moment. It's like insane stuff. So I'm guessing that in 2024 we got some exciting things to look forward to as well.
Oh yeah, the updates, all of the capabilities don't stop. And I just showed things that were announced at Ignite and at Tech Takeoff, shown in a bit more depth and reused a lot of their demos, truth be told. But the work keeps going, so they're going to keep adding more and more capabilities over time. And it's one of those things where we're just the Intune team's looking to do what we can in terms of saving our endpoint admins as much time as possible, streamlining the processes, making it more cloud native. Like you see that with even like the certificate services. I'll go into at some point like the Entra updates around private access, where that gets even better to give you, even a non-domain joined machine, be able to authenticate against Kerberos resources. Like there's so much work being done there to just make sure that there's a nice path into more kind of native cloud management across not only your Windows devices, but your Mac and your iOS and Android devices too.
Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. Fantastic. Hey, well, Luke, Jeremy, thanks so much for joining us today. And I really appreciate your insights. And don't forget, folks, if you want to visit Jeremy's channel, go. He will put his links for his own channel underneath. He's got some great tech reviews there. But also he's on Microsoft Mechanics as well, of course. So make sure that you keep up to date with all of that. And again, we'll put all the links underneath there. Okay, so Jeremy, thanks so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you. Take care. So there you have it. What a great session. Thanks so much to Jeremy, Director of Microsoft 365, and of course the host of Microsoft Mechanics. Great session as always. Hey, listen, if you want to ask any questions, make any comments, of course, get those down below. We would love your feedback on that. And if you've not subscribed, then of course, go ahead, bump that subscribe button, ring that bell, and come and join my great learning community. That's it for today. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Hey, thanks so much for dropping by today. Here's a couple of videos that you may enjoy, and while you're here, go ahead, click on the subscribe button, and you won't miss out.